Good evening. My name is Stacey J. Smith, and I would like to take a moment to welcome you to the 2013 Winter Concert of the Houston County Band Program. Before we begin, in consideration of those performing and those around you, could you please take a moment to turn off your cell phones and small children to silence. Now we invite you to sit back and enjoy an evening of music brought to you by the 7th through 12th grade band students of Houston County. Not everyone learns to play a musical instrument. It takes hard work and mental and physical dedication. On the stage before you now is the Houston County Middle School beginning band. These 7th grade students began playing in September, and tonight we'll show you what they have learned so far. During the first few weeks of school, Mr. Whit showed the students what instruments they could play and let them try them out. Eventually, they would all be assigned to the instruments they have here tonight. After learning how to take them out of their cases and how to assemble them, they finally got to do what they had been waiting to do all semester: produce the first sounds on their instruments. It sounded something like this. Yikes. I hate that part. It, however, is part of the journey. Mr. Whit and the students worked patiently over the next few days until they could get the note together. Now they sounded like this. Quite an improvement. But one note does not make a concert, and they would need a lot more work before they were ready for this performance. Once that first note was achieved, they moved on to the next lesson, where they learned to count while they played. This is necessary to perform together. They then added a new sound, a different rhythm to those notes, and it began to take on a new sound. While that is better than the first note, it definitely isn't a tune you would go around whistling all day. Eventually, the students learned enough notes and rhythms to start playing some recognizable tunes. This may have been when the noises you had been hearing started to sound like, music. This is what they sounded like at school that day. As the students continued to progress, everyone began to think this would be one of our finest beginning bands ever. Here is one of their favorite pieces. Tonight we will also be featuring some of our musicians. First will be the students in the percussion section. Here are Cassie Fish, Lizzie Lee, and Hunter Holyfield playing Lightly Road. that your kids can already play Mozart? Well, they can. You may know it is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but Mozart actually wrote a whole piano piece using this familiar tune. On flute, Katie White and Daniel Green on clarinet playing London Bridge. What would a concert in December be without some holiday music? Here's Jingle Bells. Now Lane Hughes and Eden Jeffers will perform an alto sax duet on Jolly Old St. Nicholas. Now, in reference to Hanukkah, which actually ends tonight, here is the dreidel song. Up on the Housetop, performed by trombonist Cameron Chadwick and tubist Michael Dussault. with the exception of some of the smaller groups, everything that has been played tonight has been played in unison, meaning that everyone is playing the same thing at the same time. Now the group is going to break into two separate parts, playing Frere Jacques. With multiple parts at the same time. The 7th grade will now play Old MacDonald Had a Band.
For those of you who don't know who I am Mr. Whit, the crazy, fat, balding guy that has been entrusted, your children have been entrusted to teach them how to play instruments. And let me add to Stacy's welcome at the beginning of the program. Thank you for coming this evening on what is about to be Ice-Mageddon. Well, so they say. We'll see what happens. But as she said, this group is the 7th grade beginning band that just started playing back in September. And they have, well, as you've heard, really excelled this semester. And I am very pleased with the work that they've done. So much, in fact, that the last piece on their program has never been attempted by a beginning group before. Usually it's one that we do at the end of their first year, not the end of their first semester. So they are rocking and rolling, and there's a lot of talent in this group. There's a lot of talent in this group, and some of it you've already heard this evening. After they do this piece, we will have a real quick stage change, well, hopefully a real quick stage change, and then we'll put the 8th grade on the stage. So we close the 7th grade portion with an arrangement of the finale to Beethoven's 9th Symphony. This is the 8th grade group. This is the group that's played just a little over a year. They're in their second year. They're technically the intermediate group. The first piece of their program was Imperium. 8th grade sort of has a rite of passage the way that 7th grade does. If you've been coming to these concerts for a while, you notice we do a lot of the same stuff because, well, it works. And a lot of the pieces, well, all the pieces that the 8th grade are playing this evening are pieces that basically I have decided are pieces they have to play before they get out of middle school and come to high school. The first of which was Imperium, the next of which is Carol Lou's Drum, which is just Little Drummer Boy, and then the Old Burgundian Carol, Pat-a-Pan, and then we will close with Aaron Dance. Before I get started, there's a lot of old people on the stage, other than me, helping us out this evening. In the flute section, Faith Muster, she's a freshman who was in 8th grade last year. In the horn section, Cooper Morris, also a freshman. Back in the trombone section, a junior. Apparently, you have to play the 8th grade concert 5 times because that's basically the way it works. If you're a trombone player, you play the 8th grade program 5 times, then you graduate. So Dustin Yazzi's back in the trombone section. In the trumpet section, we have Malik Sylvester, who's also a freshman. And then helping us out in the percussion section, first we have Scott Smith, who's a junior. And then he was also back there for the 7th grade in case they needed him, my percussion section leader and the senior spokesman of the group, Nick Moore, who's a senior. And I think this would be his sixth middle school concert. And he's been in high school for 4 years, so he'll get 2 diplomas at the end of the year. So our next piece is Carol Lou's Drum.
play our last piece with the 8th grade. I'll go ahead and tell you there will be another major stage change. We got to add a lot of chairs and a lot of percussion equipment, and then the high school group will play. So we close the 8th grade portion with air and dance.
So, my fellow Americans, that's not what your country can do for you. That's what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, that's not what America will do for you, but we're together we can do for freedom of man. These now immortal words were spoken by John F. Kennedy shortly after he was inaugurated as the 35th President of the United States in 1961. On November 22nd, 1963, when he was hardly past his first 1,000 days in office, he was killed by an assassin's bullet as his motorcade traveled through Dallas, Texas. Kennedy was the youngest man elected president. He was the youngest to die. Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America, would later deliver via CBS News what will be considered one of the most famous news bulletins in history. In Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official. President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. The nation was plunged into a period of deep mourning. The slain president would be buried in Arlington National Cemetery 3 days later on the birthday of JFK Jr., who had saluted his father's coffin as he passed by. The Elegy for Young American was written in 1964 and is dedicated to the memory of President John F. Kennedy. Tonight we perform it in the honor of the 50th anniversary of his death.
written and illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not ringing of bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robes. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Well, where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. "There," said the conductor, "is the North Pole." The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first we saw no elves. "They are gathering at the center of the city," the conductor told us. "That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas." "Who receives the first gift?" we all asked. The conductor answered, "He will choose one of you." "Look!" shouted one of the children, "the elves!" Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced in haste, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointing to me, he said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, "Now what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood, holding the bell high above him, and called out, "The first gift of Christmas." A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled above us once, then disappeared into the cold, dark polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands to his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell. But as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe.
The group on the stage in front of you now, I'm sure you figured it out by now, is the high school concert band. This is the group that just a few months ago was the marching band, and they have put this concert together in about 4 weeks. After we started working on it basically right after state championships on the, I think that was the 2nd of November. So just a little over a month we've been working on this with Thanksgiving break smack right in the middle. The next piece we're going to play is Sleigh Ride. For those of you that have been coming for a while, you know that we've had a tradition of ending with Leroy Anderson's Christmas Festival. And, well, I'm tired of Christmas Festival. 6 years of that and it's only been 4 weeks and I'm tired of Sleigh Ride. So those of you that are here this evening, I hope you enjoy it because we will not play it again next year. But we're going to do Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride, and then we are going to do something a little different with our last piece. And it may take a couple of seconds to get set up for it. So once we finish Sleigh Ride, I just ask that you're just patient with us while we move some people, and we have to do a microphone check for that, and that will make sense, I think, when that piece comes around. So we now give you Sleigh Ride. All right, as I said, we have a brief costume, microphone, set, whatever change, before your last piece. Let me say a couple things. First, the last word I got from Christy Ross, and I don't know, it may have changed. If you were here at the Halloween concert that we did back in October, you know that we did a community service project in raising money and canned goods, ultimately, for the Bethesda mission in time for the holidays. And between all the money that we raised from the donations, plus what was brought in at the door, at the Halloween concert, we were able to collect almost 500 food items that we took to the Bethesda mission. And that's huge. That's huge. I sort of made a decision that we need to use our good name and our notoriety in this community to do things for this community. Because I don't know if you've seen how many kids have been on this stage tonight, but it represents a large percentage of the school system, a huge percentage of the school system. And when they, as the student body, as band kids, and you as their parents and their supporters, when we team up, we can do great things. And we decided for this concert that one of our projects was going to be Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. In the last year and a half, I have had 2 high school students, and I hope I haven't left anybody out because there's only 2 that I know of. I had 2 high school students who have been diagnosed with juvenile diabetes, just sort of out of the blue. And I know for both of them it has drastically affected their daily life. And as of our last count from this evening, keeping in mind that if we get to do our school concerts next week, $1 from each of those performances for each person that comes will also be added to this total. So this number could very well go up. As of the last number that Christy Ross shared with me, so far this evening we're at $303 that we'll be donating to JDRF. And I haven't told them this, and I hope they haven't found out, but the 2 gentlemen that have been afflicted with JDRF, Gavin Gunson and Zach Dougherty, both in the high school band, the donation, whatever the size, will be made by Houston County Band in both of their names in honor of the 2 of them. Are we ready? Maybe? Are we still getting mics? Okay, I guess I have to vamp for a little bit. I'm good at making stuff up. Our last piece is a new piece that came out just this year. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And if you know anything about, I guess, for lack of a better term, the history of Christmas or whatnot, back in the late 1800s, I believe I'm wanting to say it was 1896, 1898, somewhere around there, a little girl by the name of Virginia O'Hanlon wrote a letter to the editor of a New York newspaper asking if there was such a thing as Santa Claus. And his response, especially the line, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus," has become incorporated into the American Christmas folklore and part of our culture. And this piece, with its musical underscore and its 2 actors, yet to be seen, tells the story of Virginia O'Hanlon and the letter she wrote to the newspaper editor. And this is taken from the exact transcript, the exact publication as it was written over 100 years ago. And we close the Christmas concert 2013 with "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus." Thank you guys for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Can we do a mic check real quick, please, to make sure they're working? Are you turned on? Did you turn the hack on? Yeah, it's working. Okay, get it up on the other side. Rachel, got anything?
Nothing.
Are we good now? Just talk really loud. Okay, technical difficulties abound. All right, so we now give you Guess Virginia. There's a Santa Claus.
Is it all real? Virginia. In all this world, there is nothing else real and abiding.